I'm Rebecca, and welcome to my sewing room. Today, I am using the New Look pattern number A6321. It's a his and hers pattern. T-shirt, pajamas, pajama pant, pajama short, and nightgown. Today, I am making the short, which is View D. I'm going to be making the size medium based on the garment measurements, because the finished garment measurements for the size that I actually needed to make was only half an inch bigger, and that's not very comfortable for pajamas. So we moved it up a size, so it'll be more comfortable. I am using this really cute mac and cheese flannel that I found at JoAnn Fabrics. It's actually for my daughter. She loves mac and cheese, so that's what I'm making. So I have all of the pattern pieces traced onto tracing paper and cut out, ready to go. The fabric is all pre-shrunk, ready to go. So I'm going to get this folded inside out so that I cut it correctly and pinned, and the pattern pieces all cut out. So I will be back once I get all the pattern pieces cut out. Okay, I have all of my pattern pieces cut out and marked. I have 4 pocket pieces with the points marked on all of my pieces. I have 2 front and 2 back pieces. The waistline is marked, the pockets are marked. There was an alteration that, actually a couple alterations that we're doing with this pattern. The inseam on this pattern is about 5 inches probably. My daughter, actually it's got to be longer than that, 6-7 inches even maybe. But I'm making these for my daughter, and she wanted the shorter inseam. So she likes the pajama shorts she already has, so I just measured that inseam, and that's a 3-inch inseam. Well, it's 2.5, so we're using a 3-inch inseam. I have to put a little bit on there. It also calls the pattern notions requirements calls for 1 3/4 yards of twill tape for a drawstring and 3/4 yards of 1/2 inch wide elastic for a back waist. But she only wants an elastic waistband, so we're going all around with the waist, and we're not making a drawstring. That's okay. Which means my first step in the directions say to cut a piece of interfacing and interface the buttonhole on the front of the shorts for the drawstring, but we're not having a drawstring, so I'm skipping that step. So my actual first step is to stitch the front and back pieces at the inner leg seams. So I'm going to get those pinned together, and then we'll get sewing. Okay, so the next thing that we have to do is to pin and stitch the center seam. So you need to match this center seam, and you need to match the inner leg seams and the notches. Okay, so we're going to pin that, and then we're going to sew that. It also calls for a double stitching in the center. No, not in the center, over the entire seam. Double stitch it to reinforce it. So let's go ahead and get pinning. This is what it looks like when we're pinning it so far. This is my front center, this is my back center, and then this is the crotch, the inseam, the pant short inseam right there. So we'll go ahead and pin, and then we'll start stitching. Fun. I ran out of bobbin thread quite a while ago. Let's fix that. After you've reinforced that seam with stitching it twice, you should trim the seam so that there's not a whole bunch of bulk there in the front, especially if you have a heavier fabric. In this case, I've got a flannel, and it's a lightweight flannel, it's a summer flannel, but it's still a flannel and it's going to add bulk. So I'm actually going to cut off about half of my inseam there. Especially here in the middle where you have the leg seams and the center seam, it's going to be extra bulky there because you have a lot of layers of fabric in that spot. Alright, once you have that completed, now it's time for pocket installation. Where's my next scales? Okay, in order to put in your pockets, you have to open up your shorts. Actually, you really don't, but I kind of want to anyways. I just want to see it. Yeah. There we go. So your pockets are going to be, this is your waistband up here. Your pockets are going to be right here along your side seams. You can kind of see where I have the blue dots that match the blue dots on my pockets. So with right sides together, you're going to match your blue dot to your blue dot. So I've got a blue dot here and here. And I like to stick a pin in here and see, does it come out the center of this blue dot? Because hopefully I'm close enough. And it does. So we're going to do the same thing with the second dot. We're good. And so now we can pin our pockets. Once we get all 4 pockets pinned, then we can stitch. Correct? Yeah, then we can stitch that seam, and then we have to press the seam toward the pocket and press the pocket out. We'll pin the front to the back at the side seams, matching the large dots, and then stitch the side seam, leaving an opening between the large dots. And then stitch the pocket edges together from side seam to upper edge. So once I get all of that done, I will come back and keep going. Those seams finished. I'm going to slow down and double check these directions to make sure that I have them correct. Press the seam toward pocket, pressing pocket out. Okay, so I will go and iron that and then pin the front to the back at side seams. Okay, so then after pressing, we will sew side seams, but we have to match the large dots and leave the space between the large dots open for the actual pocket. Once we get to the large dot, then we'll move and start sewing around the edge of the pocket and then continue down the rest of the side seam at the end so that we actually have a pocket. The way I read it originally, I was really confused. Guess what? I'm not so confused anymore. So I'm going to go press my pocket and then sew the side seams with the pockets, and I will be back once we are done to show you what I have. Okay, so my next step is to make the casing for the elastic waistband. I only have 1 inch that's wide enough. I've got some real thin elastic, but it's not going to be wide enough for a waistband. So that's wide enough for the elastic. I only have 1 inch. The pattern calls to make a 1 inch casing. I'm going to make a 1 1/4 inch casing to make sure that I have enough space. So what I need to do is, right here is my waistband. I need to take my this isn't just, oh, it's a gauge. There we go. My gauge down to 1 1/4 inches. You see that? There we go. And fold the casing to the inside of the shorts like this. And we will measure quite frequently, because this does need to be, we need to make sure that this is wide enough. So we'll measure quite frequently to get the right size, and then we will press it and pin it at the same time. And then once I have it done, pressed and pinned, I will take it to my sewing machine and sew it. So the shorts are all completed. This is the front. It's a little bit bunched up right here because I've got the elastic out, pinned with a safety pin, ready to stitch. So we've got nice little pockets here. I got the waistband, the elastic measured, and we just fit the pajamas to make sure that it'll fit with the waistband. So the last thing I have to do is sew the waistband where it is so that that's ready to go. Close up the hole in the waistband, and then just hem the bottom of the shorts, and they will be all finished. So let's go ahead and stitch. The pajama short is all done. It has a 3-inch inseam, a couple pockets here. Now, if you remember, the difference in this final product and the pattern is it was originally only supposed to have the elastic in the back and a drawstring in the front, but this has the elastic all the way down. And the inseam is much shorter than originally planned. But other than that, it's a really easy fabric or a really easy pattern. And if you get a nice soft flannel or cotton, it's a really easy pattern to do and a fabric to work with. So, all right. Thank you for coming back and watching this video, and I hope to see you back again soon for my next video. My next project is I'm using the same pattern that I used for Mackenzie's pajama shorts, and I'm making the same thing, which is why it's part of the same video. The difference, there's a few differences from hers and mine. First off, hers was a flannel, a cotton flannel fabric. Mine is just a regular plain old cotton fabric. I found this is a Beauty and the Beast stained glass cotton fabric. So I found it at Walmart, and I thought I really just need a pair of pajama pants in that. So that's what I'm doing. I'm also doing my waistband a bit different, and so I did a casing for her elastic and I slid it through, which is what she wanted. But I found this soft waistband elastic at JoAnn's, and I really like it. And I found a technique that, I saw, sorry, a video of a technique on Instagram of a waistband just stitched to the inside, or an elastic just stitched to the inside of the waistband. So I'm gonna give that a shot and see if that works out for me. And then also, for Mackenzie, I did a 3-inch inseam, and for mine, I wanted a 5-inch inseam. So I made my inseam 5.5 inches for my seam allowance. So those are the changes. So I'm going to go ahead and get this ironed and cut out and all of that ready to go, and then I will be back. These did not take long at all, about 3 hours in total to make these according to the pattern, with the exception of, I think, just the waistband, because I did get that soft elastic, and I saw the video on Instagram. So what you do is you measure the elastic around your waist, size that you want it, you cut it, and then you mark it in 4 spots. So first you fold it in half. See if you can see that. That's my halfway mark, a little bit. It's literally a pink line. And then you mark your quarters, and then you literally pin your elastic at your 4 seams. And as you sew, you just stretch your elastic. You stretch it all the way out to the size of your fabric. And then I ended up sewing the top and the bottom because it's such a thick fabric. In the video, it actually showed that you would then roll it again, and then do the exact same thing and just stitch it at the bottom. So you basically have a rolled waistband. But I got the soft waistband, and I think it's actually going to be softer than the fabric against my skin. And I like the length of them, the way that they are. And I also really like the kind of ruffled look that it gives the waistband. So for a pair of comfy pajamas, there they are. That's it. They've got pockets. I'm not completely thrilled because the pockets like to flap back and forth, kind of. Like, you have to make sure that they stay to the front, even with those seams tacked to the front and everything. I kind of wanted to attach the top of the pocket to the waistband, but because I didn't fold it, it didn't end up working out like that, but that's okay. I'll deal with it. I was going to tack it just to the shorts itself, but then you'd be able to see that thread tack, so I didn't want that either. So I'm just gonna keep them where they are. So and here's the final product. If I put my phone in my pocket, it will make my pocket drop. So you can see it at the bottom here. Let's try these flashcards. It might be heavy enough. My flashcards aren't heavy enough. There we go. It literally looks like that. It's hard to tell, but when I put my phone in my pocket, because they're not stitched into the waistband, they come out the bottom. So if anybody has any tips on what I can do to hang those pockets up in the waistband for some extra structure instead of just the side seam, then that would be amazing. However, if you don't, this is my shorts. I do love them. The ones in the store are a bit too short and my butt cheeks hang out, and I don't love that. So these ones are just a little bit longer. They're a little bit bigger because I have a very sturdy foundation with some big thighs. So the leg holes are a little bit bigger, which is nice because I hate my tight shorts. So this is it. And I love Beauty and the Beast, if you can't tell. So that's why I bought it. Thank you for coming. Come back again.